Hello boys and girls, welcome back to our English lesson. Today we will continue our module 7, which is out and about. For today's lessons, we are going to learn read time correctly. So let's look at this picture together. So what can we see? We can see a short hand and a long hand. Okay, dalam bahasa Inggris, jarum ini kita panggil hand. So, there is short hand and long hand. Murid-murid tahu bagaimana kita baca masa? We have to look at the short hand first. Okay, when we read the time, bila kita baca masa, kita tengok short hand dulu. Okay, after that, baru kita tengok long hand. So, if you look at this clock, tengok jam ini, can you tell me what is the time? Okay, let's look at the short hand. Okay, tengok jarum pendek. So, the short hand is pointing at number 8. And the long hand is pointing at 12. So how do we say this? What time is it? It is 8 o'clock. It is 8 o'clock. Okay? And in digital, okay, dalam bentuk digital, dia bentuk macam ni. Okay? So when we say it, bila kita sebut, we say it as it's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. Okay, next. Okay. Let's look at the short hand. The short hand is pointing at 12. And the long hand is pointing at the same number. Okay? Short hand dan long hand berada di menunjukkan nombor yang sama. Okay? So, what is the time? It's 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. So, in digital form, it is like this. Okay? Alright. Next, okay, let's look at this clock again. Can you tell me what is the time? Okay, let's look at the short hand. Ingat, mesti tengok short hand dulu. Jarumnya pendek. Alright? So, look at the short hand. What number is it pointing at? Yes, it is pointing at number 6. How about the long hand? It is pointing at 12. So, can you tell me what is the time now? Yes, it is 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. Right? It's 6 o'clock. Okay, this is very easy. Okay, move on next. Okay, now let's look at this clock again. This time, we have the short hand at number 8. Okay? Then we have the long hand pointing at the number 3. So how do we say this time? Okay? We say it's 8:15. It's 8:15. Okay? In digital form, it should be like this. Okay? Okay. I will explain to you apa maksud a quarter. A quarter means 15 minutes. Okay? A quarter means 15 minutes. So, 8:15 maksudnya 15 minit lepas jam ataupun pukul 8. So, if you look at the shorthand here, it is pointing at 8. Okay, pass maksudnya lepas. So, 15 minit lepas pukul 8. So it's a quarter past 8. Okay, next. Okay, let's look at the shorthand. The shorthand is pointing at 2. And again, the longhand is pointing at 3. So what is the time showing here? It's a quarter past 2. It's a quarter past 2. Okay? A quarter bermaksud 50 minit past 2. 15 minit lepas pukul 2. It's a quarter past 2. Okay, class? Alright, let's look at the next example. Okay, let's look at the shorthand first. The shorthand is pointing at 7. And the longhand, again, is pointing at 3. So what is the time here? Can you try? Yes, it's a quarter past 7. It's a quarter past 7. Right? A quarter, 50 minutes, past 7. It's a quarter past 7. Okay? Murid-murid cuma ingat saja a quarter, maksudnya 15 minit di belakang ya. Dan di mana jarum panjang ini ataupun longhand dia tunjuk dekat nombor 3. Alright, the longhand is pointing at 3. Right? Okay, next. Okay, this time we have the shorthand pointing at, ini belum pukul 10 kan? Belum lagi dia tunjuk pada 10. So it is still 9. Okay? It's 9, the shorthand. Not yet 10, but it's a halfway in between 9 and 10. Okay, now let's look at the longhand. The longhand is pointing at 9. So how do we tell this time? It's a quarter to 10. It's a quarter to 10. Okay? So, if the longhand is pointing at 9, it is 45 minutes. 45 minutes. A quarter to 10. A quarter to sini menunjukkan 45 minit. Okay, kita tengok balik. Okay, a quarter past ialah 15 minit. Okay, ingat saja, a quarter past 15 minit kalau dalam bentuk digital. Tetapi, kalau a quarter to adalah 45 minit. 45 minit. Di mana longhand tunjuk pada nombor 9. So, it's a quarter to 10. Okay, maksudnya tinggal 15 minit lagi ke pukul 10. Okay, it's a quarter to 10. Okay, tinggal 15 minit lagi. Tinggal 15 minit lagi ke pukul 10. Alright, it's a quarter to 10. Okay, walaupun sini tunjuk 9, tetapi kita tengok yang belakang ini. Alright, 45 minit. Maksudnya tinggal 15 minit lagi pukul 10. It's a quarter to 10. Okay, next. The shorthand is pointing at, belum lagi tunjuk pada 1, tetapi the longhand is pointing at 9. Kalau nampak longhand pointing at 9, it's a quarter to 1. Alright, it's a quarter to 1. So in digital form, belum lagi pukul 1, tapi masih lagi pukul 12. And a quarter to bermaksud 45 minit. 45 minit. So it's a quarter to 1. Okay? Next, let's look at the shorthand. The shorthand is pointing at, belum lagi pukul 7. But the longhand is pointing at 9. So it's 7. So it's like this. Okay, 45 minutes. 7. Okay, next is this clock. Okay, let's look at the shorthand. The shorthand is pointing at the middle between 10 and 11, and the long hand is pointing at 6. So if the long hand is pointing at 6, it's 10:30. Okay, so in digital form, it's like this. Okay, 10:30. 10:30 is very easy to remember, which is 30 minutes. Okay, it's 10:30. Okay, next. Okay, look at the shorthand first, and then we look at the long hand. So this is, it's 2:30. It's 2:30. Okay, so in digital form, it looks like this. 2:30. Okay. Okay, next. Again, we have the long hand pointing at 6. So it's 9:30. Okay, 9:30. It's 9:30. Okay, 9:30. Okay, class. So now it's activity time. There are 2 exercises for you today. The first one, you look, read, and match. Okay, lihat, baca, dan padankan. Alright, look at the clock and the digital clock and match which one is the correct answer. And for activity 2, we are going to read and draw the time. Baca dan lukis. Okay, pastikan jarum pendek dan jarum panjang itu di tempat yang betul. Okay, so I hope you can understand the lesson. That is all for today. Goodbye and stay safe.